Del 2. Jag ska se att det känns det där. Känns det selvfølgelig. Nej, men det er inte. Jag får bara låta det. Försvarsmaling, försäkringar, omregistreras, årsavgift. Allt det görs på natten. Alkohol dricker mer. Alkohol väger det mesta. Väger så beställer ni. Eller beställer ni alkoholbrickor. De kommer inte på måndag. Så går det igång. Sudah saya nggak perlu bukan mobilnya. Det var liksom 30 på pepparna. Det är så jävla vanskligt. Det är bara släckt. Snak mi bakit siya walang kulpa ka naman. Tandis que vai sangue solo. Sangue nel gruppo non come si organizza. Ruletta no. Non si fa tutto così. Più poco che mi ha fatto. Quindi non è il cosa Man plötsligt en massa pinnar på spelet. Tydligtvis nästa. Ja, det ser bra. Sandra. Let it be. You learn. Vad fan sitter med väl? Vi cyklar ner bakom. Så. Spelar en kodveckan. Så kommer jag få en stund. Det var inte kodveckan det kommer från Malmö. Kan jag göra gasstopp. Och så röstar jag. I guess do we can tell you this is not good. Tog på vårt alltså. 200 kilo waren. Så lät nog som vi får någon säga 200 kilo. Helt jävligt. Tåg på det här tåget. Helt jävligt. Solen på sitt bästa. Håkon på sitt bästa. Seika på sitt bästa. Håkon på sitt bästa.
Highly evolved beings and the civilizations that they create embrace principles and ways of being that create highly beneficial outcomes for all. Their civilizations are characterized by cooperation, harmony, and love rather than competition, conflict, and fear. The net result is civilizations where freedom, prosperity, and happiness abound. Their example serves as a great model for humanity to emulate if it truly wants to create the better world that many of us are hoping for. What highly evolved civilizations, you ask? Well, believe it or not, there are many highly evolved civilizations within our galaxy and many more beyond. There are two reasons that their existence is not apparent to us. First, most of them exist in higher dimensions of our physical universe, so they're not visible to us. And second, they aren't all that interested in direct interactions with a civilization as primitive as ours. But rest assured that many of these civilizations are very interested in facilitating the evolution of humanity and are doing so in a number of subtle ways behind the scenes. So without further ado, let's dive into the top characteristics of highly evolved beings and civilizations. Number 1. They deeply understand the unity of all life and live congruently. Highly evolved beings know the oneness of all. They know we are all parts of a singular, yet multi-threaded consciousness that is all that is. They know that any apparent separation is an illusion, because everything is part of one thing, and it is all interconnected and interdependent. They know that any action they take that affects another being or thing ultimately affects everything else. This is the single, yet most important realization any being can have, and in civilizations created by beings with this understanding, it is the foundation of their way of life. They deeply know that what they do to another, they are ultimately doing to themselves, and hence they treat everyone and everything with great care and respect. Number 2, they always tell the truth. Always tell the truth. They are essentially incapable of lying. They have deeply learned that deceiving themselves or others is counterproductive to achieving their highest intentions and desires, so they have absolutely no interest in lying. But even if they did, any attempt to do so would be easily accepted by all those listening. At the level of consciousness of highly evolved beings, their ability to sense energy and vibration is greatly enhanced. Everything is energy, matter, light, thoughts, emotion, etc., and so any attempt to communicate something that is untrue would be readily apparent to all listening. At this level, communicate something that is unclear and not radically alter the message they are emitting. In stark contrast, denial and deception run rampant in humanity. We frequently lie to ourselves as well as others, and we are easily deceived. Only by transcending separation consciousness, only when we realize that we are all expressions of the same one consciousness, the same one being, and by embracing the unity and equality of all beingness, will we eliminate the need to deceive and avoid all the associated undesirable consequences. As an example of how we lie to ourselves, consider the violence that is portrayed in our entertainment and its connection to the increasing violence in our society. The portrayal of violence runs rampant in our movies and TV programs, in our video games, and even in our children's toys. You'd have a hard time convincing a highly evolved being that the constant stream of violent images we bombard our children with has no effects on their beliefs, attitudes, and behavior. Humanity, on the other hand, can't seem to admit that the increasing violence in our society arises, at least in part, from the continual onslaught of such images. Because if we did, we'd have to do something about it, and we feel powerless, so we just ignore it. This pattern of seeing self-damaging behaviors and then doing nothing about them is a classic sign of immature beings. Highly evolved beings never hide from the truth, and they always speak the truth.
Hva ville du brukt tiden din på hvis du slapp å tenke på fakturering? Hvilke muligheter ville du fått? Med Flyt kan du selge fakturaene dine online. Da kan du jo bruke tiden din på det du kan best, på det som gir vekst. Les mer på sveafinans.no.
Mitsubishi Outlander. Norges mest solgte ladbare hybrid 5 år på rad. Kan både lades hjemme og når du kjører. Vi har bilen klare for rask levering. Privatleasing fra kun 2.999 kroner i måneden.
And of course, when they speak the truth, they also take congruent and appropriate action, which is the subject of the next 2 points. Number 3, they always do what they say. Highly evolved beings have a habit of speaking their truth, and they also have a habit of following through with what they say they will do, whether it is said to others or themselves. Their actions are always consistent with their word. They don't say one thing and do another. Humans, on the other hand, often say one thing and do another, and then ignore, deny, or lie about it. Obvious examples abound. For highly evolved beings, sticking to their word is a matter of honor and integrity. If they don't think they'll be likely or able to do something, they don't say it. If, on the other hand, they meant what they said, but later they find they can't keep their word because of unexpected circumstances, they will face it squarely and go talk to everyone involved to clear it up. They will humbly and truthfully explain why they won't be able to do what they said.
Jägermeister.
Number 4, they always do what works. When highly evolved beings see a less than desirable situation and have understood why it exists, they always respond with something that works. They do not ignore it, deny that it exists, cover it up, do something that doesn't address the true problem, or in some other way, fail to take appropriate action, as is often the case with humanity. Examples abound. Here are a few. If our goal is to live a life of peace, joy, and love, which I sincerely hope it is, then violence does not work. This is immensely obvious if you take but a moment to contemplate history. Isn't it clear that retribution begets retribution, hate begets hate, violence begets violence? And yet we repeat the pattern over and over. If our goal is to live long and healthy lives, then consuming meat daily, smoking known carcinogens continuously, and drinking alcohol regularly does not work. This has been amply proven, yet many of us continue to do these things. If our goal is a society free of violence and war, then the modeling of violent behaviors and attitudes to your children via our entertainment and toys, which has clearly been proven to facilitate the adoption of those violent tendencies, does not work and would be stopped immediately. Yet, we do nothing. Number 5. They never kill each other. Highly evolved beings never, under any circumstances, kill another incarnate being, unless specifically asked by the other to do so. Within humanity, murder, etc., occurs frequently. We justify much of this behavior as self-defense. It's interesting to note that in some societies, self-defense, and of course, we certainly have the right to defend ourselves, and do so in any way we see fit. After all, we are free and sovereign beings, so we think we have the right to do anything we please. Yet, a highly evolved being would not kill another, even in situations we would clearly consider self-defense. This is because they understand that every act is an act of self-definition. Every act defines who you are. You are creating yourself in each and every moment by what you choose to do, so it boils down to deciding who and what you want to be. Do we want to define ourselves as ones who are willing to do anything to survive and create a world of war and violence? Ultimately, highly evolved civilizations transcend the need to kill others because they no longer create situations where they would find themselves needing to kill. And that's because they have awakened to their oneness, and every aspect of their attitudes and behaviors have changed dramatically. When humanity fully awakens, then all the conflict and competition will end. No more killing. Instead, we will find ways to share everything and cooperate on a grand scale. And this newfound level of cooperation and sharing will create an unprecedented level of prosperity and happiness for all. And no one will ever have any reason to attack or defend physically, emotionally, financially, etc. for any reason ever again. In the rare case that an unenlightened person chose to mortally attack you, you would simply allow yourself to be killed, knowing that death is an illusion, and peacefully exit physicality and return to your eternal, non-physical self and existence. You would not choose to perpetuate more violence just for the survival of your physical body, which is not you, it's just a temporary vehicle. When you know that the real you can't die, it changes everything. But what if we were attacked by another civilization, you might ask? Don't we have to worry about another civilization coming to Earth one day and destroying us? This is a very interesting question. All I'll say about this is that our fear of this scenario is being enriched by a whole slew of alien invasion movies and the like. Given the benevolent extraterrestrial presence that is here, the many highly evolved civilizations can gently facilitate the awakening and evolution of humanity is not the one or all the alien invasions here is the work of some agency with a nefarious agenda. If you'd like to explore this topic further, then I suggest you check out the work of Dr. Stephen Greer. He is the world's leading expert and most trustworthy source on the extraterrestrial presence and why and how it is being hidden from us. Number 6. They never damage their environment. Highly evolved beings would never do anything that could potentially damage or harm the physical environment that supports their society. They deeply understand and appreciate the interconnection and interdependency of all life, and they deeply appreciate the environment that sustains things. They know that to continue to have their environment to provide for their needs and for the needs of all generations to come, then they must live sustainably. They must live in a way that is gentle, careful, and thoughtful to their natural environment and planet, and wisely husband her resources. Humanity, on the other hand, continues to demonstrate a callous disregard for their environment, using and abusing it, and poisoning it, and in the process, poisoning ourselves. Number 7. They share everything with everyone. There is no ownership. In highly evolved civilizations, there is no such thing as ownership. This is because they understand that since they are all one, everything that exists belongs to everyone, and hence they share everything with everyone all the time. A far cry from humanity, which generally only shares with others in very limited circumstances. We have an economic system and mindset that encourages us to accumulate as much stuff that we can call our own as we can, and that encourages a relative few to hoard the majority of the resources and wealth of the planet. To most of us, sharing everything probably seems completely impractical and unworkable. It's very hard for us to imagine how sharing everything could work, but believe it or not, it works very well. In highly evolved civilizations, the idea of ownership is replaced by the concept of stewardship. Beings in those civilizations mutually agree on who will have stewardship responsibility, who will partner with whom, and who will perform what functions. The person or persons that care for and manage a given thing or resource do not take it as their own. They are simply responsible for managing it. It could be said that the resource is owned by the community, and the steward of the resource is taking care of it on behalf of the community. But of course, enlightened communities understand all resources are essentially gifts from the universe that are to be managed responsibly and used fairly for all those using it now and in the future. Those who accept stewardship of anything, be it land or something else, do not realize that they own it. They understand that they are merely caring for and managing the benefit of the community. For instance, no one imagines that just because they are stewards of a particular plot of land and the area in which they are coronated, that they own air, water, and whatever else is found on that plot of land, all the way down to the center of the earth. No one imagine that they own the air or the sky above a particular plot of land as high as the sky goes.
Ja, nog kan.
Such ideas are absolutely ludicrous to highly evolved beings, and any debates about who owns the rights to whatever seems utterly pointless to
Well,
beings
look at
who
them.
understand that they are all one. A big stumbling block to embracing the idea of no ownership is our difficulty in imagining how we would earn a living without the profit motive that seems so strongly linked to ownership. But unlike humanity, highly evolved civilizations do not view
LG signature.
Fantasi förvandlad till konst. Det kallar jag det, konst, väldigt konstnär.
What are we searching for?
Han var en punkt. Och väldigt på konstnär.
Why have we always needed to climb high? Why do we reach for the sky? What do we seek? Is it something in our roots? Is it the adventure? Those narrow trails, the speed, the flow? Is it the freedom? Is it the challenge? Mastering something
Vad
we
kikar på
never
oss?
thought
Vad
we
är
could
det?
do?
Han var på en punkt då. Han
Is
tog
it
punkterna på
testing
bar.
limits?
Han skulle bara med en punkt. En punkt eller vad ska jag säga, to punkter och det är också en man och kvinna. De lagar sig själv. Så du kan få
Heights
så kan lage bar.
of view,
Att de har to punkter på laga bar.
the chance to look deep into ourselves? Is it thick forests, the vast distances, the endless wilderness? Is it record setting? Being the first, the fastest, the best? Or is it pure curiosity? What are we looking for? Companionship? Old friends? New
Det
friends?
ska alltid kriga.
Or is it the serenity, the silence, the solitude? The wonder? The passion? Why do we always want to go a little further? Since 1929, we have been a family business making outdoor products with the highest possible quality. And we still do. Our mission is to make everyone able to get out there, to that special place, that eternal playground. welcome to nature.
Living as something you have to earn. Systems can easily be devised that allow a society to fulfill individual and group needs without the members of that society having to sell their soul and abandon their dreams to survive. Many civilizations have created such systems and have demonstrated that they work very well, producing a high degree of freedom, prosperity, and happiness for everyone. Highly evolved beings also have a different way of looking at profit. They do not consider it profitable if one individual benefits at the expense of another. They do not consider it honorable or acceptable if they get more and another gets less. In highly evolved civilizations, no one benefits unless everyone benefits. It might be said that they would measure profitability by how well a steward of resource is managed and how well it provides benefit to the members of the community. And hence, they would likely describe the degree of success of any venture by using the term beneficial rather than the term profitable. If you still think a society sharing everything is unworkable, consider that humanity makes sharing work all the time on a small scale with our loved ones and families, for example. In this context, we generally care for others, no matter what, regardless of what they've done. What if we could extend our sense of family beyond blood relatives? What if we could start by caring about everyone in our community with that same type of bond and the same sense of connection that we have for our family members? And then, what if we could extend it to everyone in our country and then our world? This is the difference between highly evolved civilizations and humanity. They feel that same connection, the same amount of compassion, care, and love for everyone in their society. When you begin to stop seeing others as outsiders, when you begin to transcend us versus them, you are on the verge of a breakthrough in the evolution of your consciousness. When you can treat every single person with kindness and respect, no matter what they have done, then you will have transcended separation and will have powerfully aligned with the unconditional love of the source within you. One of the root impediments to adopting a sharing economy is the belief that there is not enough for everyone, which leads to people wanting to make sure they get theirs so someone else doesn't get it instead. Possessiveness, greed, hoarding, etc. The belief in scarcity is one of the key beliefs that is responsible for creating the type of world we live in, one characterized by conflict and competition. The apparent scarcity of many things in our world is largely due to unfair or inefficient distribution, not any inherent scarcity. As a shameful example, there is actually enough food produced on this world for everyone, yet many continue to starve. And of course, much of the apparent scarcity in our world is intentionally manufactured by commercial interests to maximize profits or by distribution strategies based on profit-only mentalities, which leaves many without, even though there is plenty. And imagine if all of the energy and resources invested in the world's war machines was applied to everyone's welfare. We could easily solve most, if not all, of the world's inequities. Because highly evolved civilizations work cooperatively, share everything, tell and face the truth, and do what works. They rarely experience scarcity. But even more deeply, highly evolved beings have transcended scarcity altogether because they understand metaphysics and know that they are creating their reality with their thoughts and beliefs, and so ultimately, scarcity is an illusion which is self-created.
Det är mer värde, så det är inte mer än det än några vanliga folk. Vi ska passe på deg og skal penger ut, ikke gå på riktig side av veien, for eksempel. Hvis du går veien der de sier du skal gå veien, eller du skal kjøpe ny moped, så skal de vite om det, hvis de sier da skal de penger av deg. Det jeg tror de er. Kan jeg jo bare si, nei, jeg skal penger av deg personen som plutselig skal penger av deg. Så jeg sier, nei, driter jeg skal penger av deg, man driter ikke oppå. Hvis han kan vil ha alle over regler, skal penger kongen, så driter jeg, så han kanskje det da.
in the long run, is cooperation and sharing. Humanity has a long way to go in this regard.
Var den med til konge for å
At
kunne
every
gjøre
level
det?
runs rampant.
Ja, det
We
tror jeg.
have convinced ourselves that competition is healthy, that it motivates and produces more efficient outcomes. And in the short term, it often does, but in the long run, it creates great inequities. We have fallen into endless and often ruthless competitions for everything: money, power, fame, love, attention, sex, everything, and it is killing us. Franklin Roosevelt, the enlightened 32nd President of the United States, echoes this sentiment when he said this about competition and cooperation. Competition has been shown to be useful up to a certain point and no further, but cooperation, which is the thing we must strive for today, begins where competition leaves off. Number 9. They do not embrace the principles of justice and punishment. Highly evolved societies do not embrace the principles that we refer to as justice and punishment. Enlightened beings understand that any being that acts to harm another is deeply wounded, deeply in pain, and that their acts are simply a cry for help and a cry for love. Hence they do not attempt to bring them that have done harm to justice or punish them. They have found that in the long run, this approach is rarely effective. Instead, they reach out with compassion and love to help heal them. They try to help heal these people in whatever way seems appropriate and effective, and they understand that judging and punishing is rarely either, because it does not heal a person's core wounds and therefore alter their way of being or behavior. They know that doing so will likely only deepen and sustain the wounds in the problem. They know that only love can heal all wounds and transform people. But how can a society function without love in the judicial process and the cruel punishment and incarceration that is the cornerstone of the system? How can these coexist? A sort of code of conduct, an associated disciplinary system. The code of conduct of highly evolved beings is elegantly simple. Do not think, say, or do anything to another that you would not want to have thought, said, or done to you. Sound familiar? Every religion on our planet teaches some version of what we call the Golden Rule, the difference between human society.
Det kan jeg ha på. Hvis ikke det er godt utenfor en bukse. Nei, det er ikke.
In highly evolved civilizations is that they actually apply the Golden Rule in their lives rather than just giving it lip service. But what happens in these civilizations if someone breaks the Golden Rule? Is it considered a crime? Believe it or not, there is no such thing as crime and punishment in highly evolved civilizations. No one commits a crime because everyone understands that they are all one, and that an offense against or harm to another is an offense against yourself. And since there are no crimes, there is no need of what we might call justice. The concept of justice is interpreted and expressed in a different way, not as punishment, but as appropriate action. And in most cases, the appropriate action is far different than what would occur in our society. A typical example is rather than punishment and incarceration, the action that would be taken would be education, support, and rehabilitation. Justice is not something you experience after you act a certain way, but because you act a certain way. Justice is an act, not punishment. An enlightened civilization understands this. The problem with our society is that we seek justice after an injustice has occurred, rather than doing justice in the
Vi
first
lager det
place.
fredag
Through the
21.
choices and actions that we
2019,
make.
juni, og
Justice is
det
an action, not a reaction. When everyone in our society acts justly and follows the Golden Rule, we
over
will not
trærne i
need
grønne, og
judicial
markene
and
grønne, og
incarceration
marker
systems.
og gresset høyt, og
Number 10. They do not
vi
believe
skulle til
in or
kjøkkeledning til, så
experience
kunne
lack.
jeg kuttet. Så
Highly
kunne
evolved beings
klippet
know that
flere.
lack is a self-created experience, and they have transcended it. They understand metaphysics deeply and know that they are eternal beings, that their ultimate essence is pure consciousness, non-physical and formless, and hence they do do not fear death and are not concerned about their survival. When survival isn't the issue, the idea of lack begins to dissolve. Fear of not having enough is further dissolved by their knowing that they are creators, that what they experience, their reality, is created by their thoughts, beliefs, intentions, and desires, and hence what they can experience is limited only to what they can imagine, and they have gotten very good at imagining only an abundance of health, happiness, and prosperity. At this level of
Jeg glemte å se denne dyrenes kjæledyrenes hemmelige liv.
Kjæledyrets hemmelige liv.
Hvor er det da?
Kommer på kino.
consciousness, sometimes referred to as creator consciousness, abundance is guaranteed. At the level of existence of highly evolved civilizations, they are no longer concerned with whether they will survive or have enough, but in what manner they will live life to its fullest and create wonderful experiences for everyone. Humanity is far from this level of consciousness and existence. Fear of not having enough and survival runs deeply, and it is one of the core reasons why there is so much competition, conflict, inequities, and suffering in our world. But most of the perceived shortages on our planet are illusory. A good example is the supply of food. On our world, over 650 of our children die of starvation every hour, which seems to indicate there is a shortage of food. Yet we scrape enough food off our plates in restaurants to feed whole countries. No child needs to starve to death. The U.S. Department of Agriculture estimates food waste in the United States alone to be about 30 to 40% of the food supply, an estimated 133 billion pounds of food wasted. This is a situation that would never ever occur in highly evolved civilizations. They would simply make it a priority to figure out how to solve the issue, which is more one of distribution than it is of lack of supply. They would figure out how to share the food more effectively. We have explored some of the key characteristics that distinguish highly evolved civilizations from others that are less so. The example offered to us by highly evolved civilizations provides a tried and true model for us to adopt that can enable us to create that better world that we all yearn for. This model can be summed up very simply: caring and sharing and cooperation is a powerful combination that can transform our world. If you'd like to explore these in more depth or learn about some of the other distinguishing characteristics not discussed here, then check out my videos about extraterrestrial civilizations and the way they exist. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and click the notification button to get notified for our next video.
Bye bye.